This is how you knit a hat from start to finish for complete beginners. This is what you need to get started. Some yarn, circular needles, tapestry needle, a stitch marker, and some scissors. Let's talk about this yarn. I'm using Lion Brand Woolly's Thick and Quick. Any chunky, bulky, or super bulky yarn will work for your first project. I'm also going to be using circular needles and the size US 13 9mm. If you don't know what size to get, it'll tell you on the inside of the ball band on your yarn. Be sure to use circular needles. That means that they connect from both sides. This is a tapestry needle. We're going to be using this to weave in our ends later. This is a stitch marker. This also marks the beginning of round. Be sure to get one that fits on top of your needles and slides easily, not too big or not too small. And these are scissors. We're going to be using these for snipping our ends at the end and to make a pom-pom. Go ahead and grab your yarn and find the end of it, which is also known as the tail. So once you have it, give yourself around 10 inches. Today we're going to be casting on 42 stitches, so I'm going to just double that, triple it, and now I have 40. But since we're doing 42, I'm going to give myself a little bit extra. So we're going to make a slip knot. Super easy. All you have to do is just twist the yarn to make a loop. You're just going to take two edges and put your hands together. The yarn should normally twist on its own. Then you're going to grab right here in the center, take the other side of your yarn and put it through. Super easy. Let's start again. Make the loop, grab it through the center, put your yarn through just so you see it straight through that circle right there. Take your other hand and grab the yarn that's through that loop. So you're going to grab onto it and pull it through. Let's show you again. So you make the loop, grab it in the middle, bring the yarn through the back, pinch it, and pull it through. So that's what it looks like super fast. There you go. So take your needles, and you only need one of them right now, so don't worry about the other guy. Take your slip knot that you just made. If you still need practice, go ahead and rewind. You're just gonna put it on there and pull it tight. Make sure it's not too tight though, you still wanna be able to move it around. So now we're gonna make a long tail cast on. So go ahead and take your fingers, put it straight through the yarn, and if you wanna go ahead and grab the yarn on the edge right there, it's easier to hold on to it. So take your fingers, put it straight through, open them like that, and we're gonna make a Z. So again, you just put your hands, open them, and pull your hand down. Open it and pull it down. So you're gonna take this first piece of yarn right here, and you're gonna put your needle right underneath it. And you're gonna wrap it over the top and pull it through that hole and off the needle. Okay, let's walk through that one more time. So you're gonna put your hands through the two tails, you're gonna open them, pull it down to make the Z. Do you see what I'm talking about, the Z right there? Okay, you're gonna take this bottom piece of yarn right here and go underneath it. Be sure to only do that one, not through these, but just through this one. Under this one, over this one, and you see this little hole right here? This is what we're gonna be putting the needle through. Right there, you just put it straight through here. So pull it through and off. Okay, let's do that one more time. So through, Z, under, over, through the loop, and off. All right, let's do that one more time. You're gonna go open, Z, under, over, through the loop, and off. Z, under, over, through the loop, and off. You're gonna do that 42 more times. The way you count it is just by these little notches right here. So once you do 42, you gotta make sure your stitches are flat. And whoop, that's not flat right there. If you have it twisted, all you gotta do is just untwist it. It's easiest to do this on a table or a flat work surface so you can really tell if they're twisted or not. So look, this is your tail, and this is going to be your working yarn. Always make sure you're working from the yarn that's coming from the ball. So now we're gonna join in the round. This is also known as knitting your first stitch. So what you're gonna do is you take your needle and not through this back loop, but through the front loop. It's where you're gonna stick it right there. Ready? One more time. Stick the needle straight through that first loop, grab your working yarn, not the tail, and wrap it around your finger. Once that stitch is in there, just wrap it around. Let's see that again. You're gonna wrap it around the needle, not over the needle, but you're gonna wrap it around the needle. Then you're gonna pull it straight through just like that. Then pull it off the needle. But let's walk through this one more time. So you stick it straight through there. That's also known as a knit stitch. You're gonna take your yarn, wrap it around. Make sure it's on there at the very base of the needle. Then you're gonna take it and you're gonna make sure you keep your yarn on your needle when you're pulling it through the stitch. See that little hole that we're bringing it through right there? Once it's in, then you're just gonna pull it straight off. There you go. One more time, in through the stitch. Make sure it's through. Take your yarn, wrap it around. Make sure it's right on there. Pull it off. And that's the knit stitch. One more time. So you put it through, wrap the yarn around, pull your right needle underneath the stitch, and take it off. But right now, that's not what we're gonna do. So I'm just gonna unpick these stitches real quick. Okay, so purling is just the exact opposite as knitting. So you're gonna do everything you did, but backwards. So you're gonna take your yarn, instead of in the back, you're gonna bring it right to the front. All right, let's see that one more time. Just take your yarn, bring it through the needles, and now it's in the front. So normally you're gonna go through the front stitch. That's what you would do for knitting, but this time we're gonna go through the other way. Make sure it's through the front, and this is a purl. So you can take your needle, put it through the front, grab the yarn, and this time, not the tail, don't use that tail. Take your working yarn, we're gonna wrap it around the needle. Ready? One more time, wrap it around the needle. And now this, you gotta make sure the yarn stays on. Pull it through the same, and now it's off. And you just did a purl stitch. Now you're gonna take the yarn, bring it to the back again, because we're about to do the knit stitch. And this, you guys already know. In through, wrap it around, pull it through, and off the needle. Now we're doing the purl stitch again. Bring the yarn to the front, stick it through, wrap it around, and pull it off. So this is gonna be 1 by 1 ribbing, and you're just gonna do this all the way around until you get back to that center stitch. So you're just gonna knit, wrap it around, pull it through, and off. So now, what do you do if you set it down and you don't know where it is? So I'm gonna teach you guys how to read your knitting real quick. So this is gonna be what it's gonna look like if you just do one round. So this little bump right here, that's a purl bump. So that means you had a purl stitch. This little V right here is a knit stitch. So bump is purl, V is knit, bump right here is purl, V is knit. So if you ended on a knit stitch, which is a V, next you're gonna do a purl stitch. So if you have to set it down to go get some water or a snack or something and you come back, now you can read it. So this is working the very last stitch. Remember that stitch marker I asked you guys to get at the beginning? Now it's your time to use it. So you're gonna go ahead and grab it and mark the beginning of round. So all you have to do is just put it there. So now when you keep knitting, you're gonna know where you first started. Then you just keep going as normal. And normally after you reach the very first round, I like to just do 2 stitches and then give this a nice tug just because sometimes it can get a little bit loose. So you're gonna tug on that stitch, make it real tight, and then you can keep knitting as normal. So now you're gonna knit for the next 8 rows. So this is how you count them. These are gonna be the stitches that you count. These are the live stitches, and these are the worked stitches. So we're gonna count the stitches that we've already worked. 2, 3, 4, and count the live stitches. You don't count the cast on edge. You only count these. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, since it's on the needle. You're gonna do that for 8 more rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So now we're just gonna work in stockinette. So what that means is you just knit all of your stitches. So ready? You're gonna just knit like you would normally, but this one, where you would normally purl, you're just gonna knit it. And it's super easy. Instead of going this way, you're just gonna go this way. And you knit all the way around, and for 18 more rows. So now you've got 18 rows knit. Now it's starting to look like a hat, right? So if you lose your marker, I just wanna show you guys this trick. So say you didn't have one to begin with, you can always count it from the cast on edge. So you go down, find your long tail right there, find the purl row that you ended on, follow that stitch all the way up, and boom, that's the stitch that you started the row on. So this is the decrease row. So this just means you're decreasing the amount of stitches on there. I like to always knit the first stitch just so I don't have to worry about that marker flying everywhere. So this is a knit 2 together. You're gonna take not 1 stitch, but 2 stitches and knit them at the same time. So how you're gonna do that is just stick your needle through both of them. Not one, but both of them. Ready? Let's see that one more time. And sometimes it's easier to hold them like this. So if you just stick your needle through, wrap it around, and pull it off. You just knit 2 together. So that means 1 stitch has been decreased. So I'm gonna go ahead and knit 6 stitches and then do my knit 2 together again. Okay, so now we're just gonna do the exact same thing. See 2 stitches, let's turn them into 1. So you have them both on the needle and knit them off. There you go, you're just gonna do that to the beginning of the round. Then after you're finished, go ahead and knit 2 more rows. So now it's another decrease round. We're gonna knit 2 together, then knit 1 stitch, 2 stitch, and knit 2 together again. And you're just gonna repeat that to the beginning of the round. So right after you're finished with that, just knit 1 more row. I promise we're almost done. Then now you're gonna knit 1, then knit 2 together and repeat to the beginning of the round. So now that you're at the beginning of the round, look at all those stitches. We barely have any left. So now this is a way to see if you need to keep doing decreases. Does your hat shut? Ooh, almost. Grab your marker. Oh, nope, grab it again. You're gonna see if your hat shut. So it's almost closing. So now we're just gonna do the final decrease round. So I'm just gonna knit 2 together on every single stitch. This is really gonna close that hat up. Okay, so you're finished. Well, almost. Go ahead and grab your yarn. Leave about maybe 2 feet as a tail, maybe 12 inches, and snip it. Take your tapestry needle and thread that into there right through. And now we're just gonna transfer all of the stitches from the needles to the tapestry needle. So the only way you're gonna do this is you can go either purlwise, which I'm doing, or you can knit it, doesn't matter. It's just putting those stitches onto this needle. So you're just gonna slip all of those off. I like to tug as I go just so it gives me a little bit more slack. So take each stitch off of the needle. It is gonna be a little tight at sometimes, and if you drop it, it is a-okay, just pick it right back up. So once you have all the stitches on your tapestry needle, you are done with those knitting needles. So go ahead and pull that through all of those loops, make it as tight as you can. Super tight. Look guys, you're almost done. It looks like a real hat. Okay, so now we gotta get rid of this tail. You're just gonna stick it straight through that hole there, pull the yarn all the way through, flip your hat inside out. So now you're just gonna weave in this end a little bit. We're also gonna tie it in a knot when we add the pom-pom, but just for now, you're gonna weave it in. So you're just gonna take it, go through those purl bumps, so just want to find a couple of purl bumps, try to make a circle, and just pull it through. Just like that. Now, if you have a hole right here, you can see my fingers coming straight through. This was just from the knit 2 togethers. If we didn't pull it tight enough, which I didn't, it'll create a hole, but it's super easy to fix it. So you just go through one edge of it right here, and then go through the other edge and just tighten it up. And if you see any more holes like that, you can easily just tighten it up. The reason why there's holes, it just depends on everybody's tension. You could finish this hat and not have a single hole. Okay, so now we're gonna fix this cast on edge. You see how it's a little open right there? We're gonna make these 2 sides connect. So just pull that tight, thread your needle again, and so we're gonna go through the cast on stitch. Not these stitches, cast on edge. Not the actual stitch, the cast on. So you thread a needle through there, pull it tight. See, it's already starting to close up. You just tighten it up like that. Then you're gonna take the needle and on the other side, go through the first stitch. Pull it tight. See how it looks like a normal edge? Now you're just gonna go through it one more time and weave in the ends. So this is a crucial step because you don't want these pieces of yarn hanging out on the front of your hat. So now you're just gonna go through each stitch, going all the way up through the line. And this is extremely important if you wanna flip the brim of your hat. So if you wanna fold it up, just go ahead and do instead of 18 rows of stockinette, do around maybe 15 extra. But if you weave in your ends like this and you fold the brim up, you won't even be able to see them. So now you're just gonna go through the purl bumps. I like to do 3 at a time, pull it through, and then turn your hat, and you're just gonna wanna make a circle. So I normally do 1 right here just to be on the side of it, pull it through, and then now you're gonna go back diagonally, making sure to go over the same stitch that you already did, and then pull it through on that side. See how it made like a little circle right there? So now that stitch is not coming out. Now you gotta pull them tight just in case there's a little wiggle room. Okay, and then since you don't want this hanging, go ahead and snip it off. So now your hat is completely done. So if you don't want to add a pom-pom, congratulations, you just made a hat. But if you want to, here's how. So there are fancy pom-pom makers, but if you got a hand, let's go ahead and use it. So just gonna spread your fingers out as far as you can, hold it down right at your pinky, and just wrap and wrap and wrap. The more you wrap, the thicker your pom-pom's gonna be. So go ahead and lay it flat, cut that off, and be sure to hold this part down or else the whole entire thing's gonna come undone and you'll have to redo it. So right now, you're just gonna get another piece of yarn, maybe around 10 inches or so. Go ahead and snip you off a little piece, and now you're just gonna put it over the top of this. This is gonna be what holds your pom-pom together. So you're just gonna squeeze it, flip it over. I like to pull it tight right here just so I have a little more grip, and then figure out how to tie a knot one-handed. It's a little harder than it looks. Go ahead and tie it tight. Do it as tight as you can. Careful, if you do pull it really tight, the yarn can break, so don't bring out your Hulk arms for this one. Okay, so now all of these loops right here, we're just gonna cut them. This is what's gonna make the little tails of your pom-pom. So go ahead and cut all of these little pieces. And again, the more yarn you wrap around, the bigger and fluffier your pom-pom will be. And then shake it just to get all these little fluffies out. So now you're gonna attach it. So you have the two tails that you already did. You're gonna thread your yarn through it, just on one of them. You need to go to the hat and see that little belly button that we had? You're gonna go right on the opposite sides. So you're gonna put one side on that. Just go ahead and pull it through. Take the other long tail right here. Thread your needle again. And then you're just gonna put it straight through the other side. Go ahead and grab on with your hand inside the hat. Go ahead and grab both of those, and now you're gonna flip it inside out. So now just take those two, tie them in a knot, and so that secures your pom-pom. Now this you wanna do as tight as you can because nobody wants a floppy pom-pom. I like to do 3 knots just to be on the safe side. Even though we already wove in the ends, I like to just tie it in a knot also just to be on the safe side. Go ahead and cut all of these tails off, and guess what, you guys? You just made a hat. There you go. And if you don't like scraggly pom-poms, you can go ahead and trim off any of the edges that aren't even, or you can make it super round if you want to, but I kind of like the way this one looks. And there you go. And that is how you knit a hat. I'll have everything linked of the materials that I used down below, so you can get started. Happy knitting!